All right. Welcome in, Coach. First of all, congratulations on the great win on Friday.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me as well.
Absolutely. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we can chat with you a little bit. I think, players obviously get a chance to chat with you. Parents maybe a little bit less so, and fans, we don't get to hear from the coach all that often unless, we do something different or interesting, at least not at the high school level. So,
Right.
um, I'm hoping this is a nice look into the program. So, first of all, just kind of what were your overall thoughts from the game on Saturday?
I was pretty pleased with the effort the guys gave. They overcame a little bit of adversity there at times, and you know, I just I was pleased with the way they performed and worked together as a team. That was the biggest thing for me.
And you've got a young squad, right? Like you've been working
Yeah.
not all that long to get them together, to get them on that same page. So I think that's a testament to you and the coaching staff that they did work together that well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, obviously you guys, well, from what I can tell, it didn't look like you guys won the toss. Peoria Heights defers to the second half, and you're going to take that opening kickoff then. So how did scoring on that first drive impact the coaches, the players, the feel of the game? Just, what was the impact of that first score?
Um, I think it kind of set the tone early. They came out, they started fast. Um, they seen the game plan, and I mean, they those 10 plays they probably knew better than the whole playbook. So that's um that's kind of the goal. That's what you hope for when you go in. It's a good indication that you've properly prepared your team. So
Absolutely. So did you kind of script those first 10 plays, or was that
yeah,
just
yeah,
okay?
we go into a game with 10 plays. First 10 plays, it doesn't really matter what happens. We're going to stick to the script. Um, and so that's how we just like to start our games to kind of see um, if we've got the right game plan together. As long as the game plan holds true, then we kind of build the night off of that. But um, yeah, that's where we start.
Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? It lets the players know what to expect, and you can really have those 10 plays drilled down. So I think that's a really good way to go. We've heard NFL coordinators talk about scripting those first 10 to 15 plays for years now. So,
Right.
I feel like that's a good game plan, a good way to move things. So we got that first score, and then things went a little sideways for a little bit. And Peoria Heights scores those couple of touchdowns. They take the lead. Did you have a specific message to the team after that happened to kind of keep them on track?
You know, going into it, we talk a lot as a team about finishing and preparing. Um, you're entitled to have a quarter just like they're entitled to have a quarter, right?
Mhm.
So really that late first quarter, early second quarter was really their period. That was their time.
Mhm.
And I just told the guys, just hang in there, man. Just weather the little storm. They're gonna throw some punches. We're just gonna make stops. We make stops, we make plays, we make stops, we make plays, then the game turns around. So
And so then, I think that's great, right? Like trying to keep, and again, we talked about it. You've got a young squad. And so a lot of these guys either haven't played, high school football at all, or maybe haven't played very much. So, I think it's just natural to be a little bit nervous too. So I think that was a good way to keep them focused on what they could control. And then,
absolutely.
you did that, you kind of gave them that message, and then they responded, get the stop before half, quick score before the half. So how did you feel about that response going into halftime with that lead?
Well, that was the biggest tell for me. Seeing them kind of overcome adversity because, young teams like this, when they get punched in the mouth, sometimes it hurts. And I think our message all through the summer was, hey, everybody gets hit. You hit back. Don't,
Yep.
you know. And so that was kind of the tail sign for me that they they were getting the message and they were understanding, hey, we still got more work to do and we can come back and finish this. So
Absolutely. And so a really nice finish to the half, get the touchdown, go into halftime with the lead. Um, Come out the third quarter, starts and it's going well. Obviously get a stop on their first drive. The second half. Um, Some point there in that third quarter, though, Sam Horn comes up a little gimpy. It looked like maybe he had a little cramping issue, and
mhm.
he's your quarterback. He's the guy we talked about it on air. I don't know if you went back and watched, but every time your team needed a big play, or a calming play to keep a drive going, Sam Horn made it, right? And not to take anything
Right.
away from Sam Kleesner. Sam Kleesner also had an excellent game, but Sam to me was the epitome of what you're looking for in a quarterback to keep things from going too sideways. Um, we talked a couple of times on the broadcast that he avoided the big mistake, right? There was the one interception that I think you could argue maybe wasn't his fault, looked like it maybe had gone through receiver's hands, but
Right.
Sam didn't make any big mistakes, Sam Horn. So he comes out with that injury. What's the message to the team then, and how do you keep everybody from, panicking at that point?
Hey, stick to the playbook, stick to the game plan. We've got it. This is the right time. All right, coach, what do you need? 3 plays? Okay, 3 plays, let's go. We knew it was like a forearm cramp or something.
Okay.
Um, so we figured 2, 3 plays and we'd make it happen. Um, we had to call that timeout there,
Hmm.
just to kind of get things back to calm. But uh, I think we just called things that were familiar to the guys who were going in, really simple calls, so they don't have to think too much. We don't need them to be Sam Horn. Just hold the fort till he gets back. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a good way to handle it, right? Especially when it's a short-term injury. Just again, try to avoid that big mistake that puts you in a bad spot. So I think that was a really good way to handle that. One of the biggest changes or one of the biggest differences, Dave Unger and I saw watching the game on the call, in the first half, Mac, I think was their running back's name, was getting some big chunk plays, particularly to the right. In the second half, that went away. Like we looked and instead of those 10, 12, 14-yard gains, and he got several of in the first half. I think the longest gain he had in the second half was 7 yards.
right.
So clearly you guys made some kind of adjustment, or the players did something different to mitigate him. How did you guys, what was that adjustment, or was it just player effectiveness?
Well, it had to be an adjustment. We being young, sometimes your biggest problem is assignment, right? Um, and so we noticed that we were having an alignment and an assignment problem,
Okay.
which allowed for a lot of those big chunk plays. So once we were able to get them aligned correctly, I didn't need them to so much think about their assignment because they were already in their assignment. So just made it a little bit easier to play the game. And then, Ashton Hill just had a ridiculously big game, so super proud of that kid.
I thought your linebackers did a pretty good job, and you had a couple of freshmen that made some big plays a couple of times as well in the second half. I think RJ got a hold of a shoulder pad at one point, and we hear the assistant coaches from Peoria Heights screaming about a face mask, and we're like, I don't think that was a face mask.
No.
Um, and
Uh, Joey
yeah,
had a
that's what I was
couple
trying to
really
come up
big
with.
plays. Joey
Yeah,
Fugiano, Fogiani.
yeah, I thought in the second half I don't know if it was, again, it may have just been the alignment being in the right starting position, but it seemed like he was definitely more effective. And I don't know if that was the nerves calming down, being in the right place to start, knowing that he's got those linebackers behind him to support him. I also felt like your DBs played the run a little bit more aggressively in the second half because it didn't feel like Peoria Heights had much of a passing game.
Right, right. You know, um, going in, I didn't expect them to have much of a passing game. And then we started to get a little nervous trying to figure out how to play their 3 wide. Um, and so they got a couple of plays off early, but once we was able to kind of kind of nullify that game and clean up those edges, then because that was the plan, right? Beat us up the middle, use the pass game off the edge, and we were able to just kind of nullify that edge. Like you said, he gashed us heavy in the first half up the middle, but
Hmm.
he wasn't able to do a whole lot after that. So
He wasn't. So great adjustments, great understanding of what your team needed to do. All right, so you've got the game coming up against BPC Saturday, right?
Saturday,
Or is it
Friday.
Friday, tomorrow? Okay. So where do you guys go from here? What did you work on this week to keep that momentum going? And how are you preparing for BPC?
Well, uh, the big thing was just understanding like you're 0-1 this week. You haven't done anything.
Hmm.
I mean, you're 0-0. I'm sorry, 0-0 this week. You haven't done anything. Um, that was last week's game, and you know, football is a what have you done for me lately type sport. So
Hmm.
we just had to get back to work. We did some we did some work just on our making sure our conditioning and our strength was good. We worked on our line pretty heavily to kind of sure that up for Sam Horn a little bit more. Uh, so yeah, we've we're playing a team that's fairly similar. Uh, Big difference is their plan is to get outside so that they can gash the middle. They're not going to start in the middle. So we're going to just figure out ways to nullify their pulling guards and uh, well, sometimes they pull the tight end as well. So we're just going to figure out ways to nullify those pulls and, like I said, keep guys like Joey free to make big plays.
All right, Coach. Again, it was a lot of fun to watch the team on Saturday and see them respond to a bunch of different situations. Congratulations on this week's victory. Good luck tomorrow night. Um, we're not gonna be able to make the trip over to BPC to broadcast it. That's my stomping ground. So have fun out there, and we wish you guys all the best.
Hey, thanks. TSSR is going to broadcast for us out there in
Okay.
BP. So,
All right.
but
Well, we'll
thanks
try to
for
get that out
taking the
there.
time with us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.